Hey guys, I'm Jordan Fromer. I believe in hunting hard, hunting smart, and having a fun time while doing it. And shooting limits, well, that's just the icing on the cake. I revel in the journey just as much as the successes it brings. From ducks to dogs to decoys and guns, we'll be talking tactics, strategies, and what it takes to get the job done. Load up and take aim. This is the Duck Gun Podcast. What's going on, folks? Thanks again for joining us in another episode of the Duck Gun Podcast. I'm Jordan from Duck Gun Chronicles. Got my co-host alongside me, Graybeard, Freelance Duck Hunting, and our guest for tonight is Tim from HTR Innovations. How you doing, Tim?
Pretty good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
It's really great to have you here tonight. Oh, and Jordan, apparently my nickname has been changed to Green Pea Graybeard, and you'll get the story about that later.
Okay.
It's a good one. It's a good story.
Awesome. So, Tim, go ahead and let us know a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Well, I'm just a common, ordinary guy that works for a living, and we work on big pumps and wells, and we like to hunt for therapy. And in the therapy part of it, we find problems and we have solutions to problems, and that's what led us into developing some products that make our hunts fun and a little safer and a little easier. So that's a little bit about who I am.
Awesome. So I guess kind of let's jump back to the start with HTR Innovations. Where'd you guys get your start with the hunting products and that stuff?
Oh, just like everyone else, you go to Cabela's or Bass Pro and you order stuff and you don't know exactly what you're getting, but you need stuff. And we've only been in waterfowl hunting seriously for, I think, maybe 4 or 5 years. And our first year was brutal. We knew nothing. We didn't know what guns to use, what ammo to use, how to hunt them, and we didn't shoot a bird the entire year. But we had fun trying. So in the next year, we learned and we talked to friends and other people that were into waterfowl hunting, and we overcome some of the mistakes that we didn't know we were making, and then in that process, we started having issues with these layout lounge or these layout blinds. You get in them and you think they're cool, and they are, but if you have to lay in them all day, they're very uncomfortable. And then the issue of hunting in water, where do you put your gun, and do you want a sling, and dropping it in the water and all that kind of stuff. So we just experienced the problems that we all have, I think, that I've heard from hunters. And so we started saying, well, why don't we start making some products that would take care of some of these problems and find solutions to some of these problems. So we did. We started making stuff in our shop and welding stuff up and playing with stuff just like most people do. And then we started really working on some of it, and we got some products that we used for a while and really liked them. And then we just started saying, I wonder if anyone else would like to buy some of these things. And so my son Hunter and I went into business together, started a company, and said, let's take some time and start developing these things. And so we've been doing that for a while. And one of the things that that bugged me all the time when I got my products was, you look at the box when it comes and it says it's made in China. And we live in a global economy, but it seems like everything that you buy sometimes is made in China. And we were like, why does that have to be that way? And so we started developing and making products, and we think we have some pretty good ones that are pretty helpful. And one of our goals is to just keep making them right here in the States. And it's not about becoming rich, or it's not all about the money. It's about solving problems, coming up with solutions, and if we can make those things right here and support our families and have fun doing it, then that's what.
Couldn't agree more.
So what was the first item that you decided to make, or were they kind of all at once, or how did the process go with the very first one?
Probably, I think the first thing we toyed with was building a portable blind. Just like a lot of guys do, they will build a portable structure that you can put on your boat and then grass it in. And then we didn't do a lot when we started. We didn't have boats. We didn't do a lot of water hunting. We hunted day ponds and we hunted a lot of fields. And so we started playing with portable blinds that we could brush in along ditches or along fence lines or along day ponds. So that's kind of what we toyed with first. And then, we looked at some of the nice blinds that were out there, like Zink's A-frame blind, and he was really the only one, I think, out there that had an actual portable blind. And I really didn't want to pay that much money, so we started playing with frames, and we actually made some of ours out of steel initially. They were very heavy, very durable. We still have some. Some of them are still out in our private ponds that we have. But so I think that was kind of the first thing we played was making an A-frame blind that was a little bit functional, easier, a lot less parts, and a lot easier to tear down. And so we've got our blind now where you can tear it down. It's only made out of 6 parts, 6 pieces, and you can take it apart in less than a minute or two and put it in the back of any 6.5 foot pickup bed. So it doesn't require a lot of storage space. It's very, very light, but yet very durable. You can stand on it, doesn't break. But one of the other issues that we found along the way, once you put a light framed blind out and put a nice cover on it, if you get a 30-mile-an-hour wind and you're not in that blind, it'll take it like a sail. So we learned from that, if we're going to leave our blinds out in the fields for days at a time, we got to stake them down because they're pretty light. But so yeah, that A-frame blind, I think, was the first thing we started working on, and then we started hunting with people in the water and marshes, and that became, for me, frustrating. What do we do with your gun? So we came up with this stand, and then I think the next thing was we went to Missouri for some snow goose hunting, and that was awesome. 3-day snow goose hunt with 6 or 7 of our buddies, and this was all new to us. We heard stories, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of birds in the air all day long, and put you in the blind before shooting light, and you stay in until shooting light is done. And 8-9 hours in a blind laying in muddy, ice cold water in flooded rice fields is very uncomfortable. And us being rookies, we thought that field hunting, we didn't need to take our waders, so none of us took waders, and we were miserable. We were cold. So the first night we all went to Walmart looking to buy stuff to put inside of our blinds to keep us up off the water and keep us more comfortable. And that's what gave us the idea of building the layout lounge that will fit in just about anybody's layout blind and keep you up out of the water, keep your backside warm and dry and much more comfortable. Because I don't know, if we spent time in those layout blinds, how your neck hurts after about an hour and a half of that uncomfortable bar that's right behind your head. So that's kind of how it all morphed. I think the A-frame was first, and then the gun stand, and then the layout lounge.
On the lounge, how does that? Do you just lay it? We've got layout blinds and we've got layout boats, so that's obviously a product that would really benefit what we do. How does it attach? Does it just lay on top of what's currently in the blinds?
Yeah. So like on most of the layout blinds, they have that little foam pad, and they usually have it with 2 straps, that's hooked up to the top bar, and it's hooked up to a strap somewhere in the bottom. And what we do is just unhook the 2 straps on that pad and just move it directly out of the way. And then our layout lounge fits right down inside, and we made it at an angle for your head and your neck. and the width. So we've got a couple of them. One is an 18-inch wide and one's a 24-inch wide. And the 18-inch layout lounge will fit in anybody's layout blind by just unhooking the straps and pushing their little pad away, and that just drops right in place. So you can position it wherever you want, and it holds your head right up where it needs to be, and your neck is on the comfortable pad instead of on that bar. And you know, the pads that they give you, they just kind of like sag and no back
it's just
support.
Basically I mean, mine is there's not even a pad in my layout book. It's not even a pad. It's just I don't know what the material is, nylon or canvas or something, but there's no pad to it.
Right. It's just kind of like, hey, it's in there, and use it and deal with it. And so it's real easy to slip in. You can even put them in the Power Hunter blind, which is that fold up. There's a really little frame to the Power Hunter, but the 18-inch will slip right in there, and you are laying and sitting on closed foam, canvas, packed layout lounge, very, very comfortable. Keeps your heat in your body, keeps you off the icy ground in the winter, keeps you out of the water if you're laying in a flooded field. And what I found out by accident really is I bought a couple of those Momarsh canoes, really nice heavy duty ones, and crawled in there one time and like, wow, wait, hey, I have a layout lounge. And I stuck the layout lounge in there, and it fits perfectly in there. And so it accomplishes the same thing with those. And so if you're on your knees and paddling down to your spot, your knees are on the layout lounge, and it makes it much more comfortable. And then if you want to hunt out of it, like a lot of people do, you just lay right down and you're on the pad. So you just pick it up, take it out. And so the other thing we made it for too is if you don't want to hunt with a layout blind, like sometimes you just can't risk the big bumps in the field. You can't cover it up. So you can take that layout lounge and put it right in between the corn rows. It fits right in between 24-inch corn rows, and get your profile a lot lower, but still be off of the cold ground or the wet, muddy ground. And then the blanket that we've made for it, you can stubble it in. And so there's a number of products out there that are similar to it, but not exactly like it, as versatile as ours and as comfortable, and I think as durable as what we built. But like I say, you can use it for multiple things.
So on the paddling part of it, I'm interested in that. With your knees being on the pad, could you just kind of straddle the headpiece of it a little bit, so your knees are on the ground and then you're just kind of resting back against that? You think that was something that would work?
Yeah, so what I do is I push that the highest part of the pad goes all the way back up, and it actually goes underneath the top part of the Momarsh. It fits right in there. I bought the Momarsh, and I put those little doors that close on it, so it's got a low enough profile that you can slide it anywhere you want inside that Momarsh blind or canoe. So you can position it wherever you want, slide it back and forth, and it makes it a whole lot more comfortable.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. We use those. We've got Ascend H12 kayaks, but they're essentially just a layout boat. I mean, they're deep well, and we've got a blind attachment on top of it. And man, I'm excited about that. I think that's going to be really comfortable for those.
The one thing we haven't checked out yet, and we've got to, is we got to find out if we could get it certified as a flotation device. That would be an added benefit, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how you go about doing that. So we got to check into that. Our R&D guys got to get on that.
What material is it made out of?
It is a closed foam on the bottom, and then an open foam on the top half. Closed foam so that it does not absorb the water. And then the closed foam is much more rigid and a little stiffer. And the open foam will absorb some water, but that's the part that goes underneath your neck and your back and your head, so it's a little bit more comfortable if you're laying on your back on it. And then we completely wrap the thing in the 900 denier, which seems to be the industry standard right now, that everybody's making their layout blinds and their covers and all of that. Some people are making it in 600 denier, but we've made ours in 900 denier, so it's extremely durable. Can't rip it. You can take a knife if you want and cut it, but I don't think you're gonna be going through those very quickly. They're extremely durable.
I would say one added benefit to the layout lounge is using them myself as it definitely helps you sit up faster, and it's less strain. You're already kind of at an angle on a pad, opposed to kind of what you're saying with the straps that are in a normal layout blind, or where you end up being a lot lower kind of, and it's more of a struggle to sit up as quick as you can. But with that layout lounge, it kind of props you up. And I think even for older people, who might be a lot slower than they once were, sitting up from the laying position, that it would be a huge benefit. And as far as me, like I've hunted without them and with them, and I definitely prefer not to hunt without them at this point.
Yeah, it gives great back and neck support. And
I'd just be able to use it around the campfire, just laying around.
Exactly. We're going to be doing a couple promo videos on them, and that crazy thing is extremely versatile. And I won't spread too much of it, but we'll have some promo videos out there for how versatile it is and what you can use it for.
That's cool.
Awesome. So you think we should jump into the lightning round, or?
Yeah, let's do it. I do want to talk more about the A-frame a little bit, just out of curiosity, but let's do the lightning round.
Okay, we'll go for the lightning round. All right, so lightning round, quick questions, quick answers. So let's jump right into it. What gun do you shoot?
A Browning.
Which one?
A10 10 gauge. Love it.
All right.
10 gauge? You say 10 gauge?
10 gauge. Yes.
At teal?
Sure.
Do you still get to eat them?
No, I give them away.
What kind of ammo do you shoot?
I have used a lot, but the most I bought is the heavy shot, or the heavy metal. I think I have more boxes of heavy metal than anything.
And what size do you go? 3.5 or 3-inch?
Oh, 3.5, always in the 10 gauge.
Nice. And you'd be right along the line as Dr. Duck. He calls the 3.5-inch, he calls them candlesticks.
Okay. Yep.
So anytime anybody asks him what he shoots, he says candlesticks.
Yeah.
And shot size for ducks?
For ducks, wow, probably number 3.
Number 3. I'm more of I like to go number 4s.
Do you?
Yeah. Elliott, what do you shoot on those?
2s on big ducks. We start with 6s this year on teal, and 6s or 4s, and then as the mallards show up, we'll switch back down to 2s. But I may try to hold with these 6s for a while after patterning them and see how they do.
Yeah, I don't know why, but for whatever reason, I just feel more confident with the 4s. Just whenever I've shot them, I've just seemed like my accuracy is a little bit better, and it's probably because you get more BBs. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So shot size for geese?
Number 2 is early season, and then BB's late.
BB's late. And on your choke, do you go for full or modified?
Oh, it depends on the situation. I mean, if we're shooting geese and they're going to be within 25 yards, I'll just use my standard Browning modified choke that's in it. But if it's late season and I'm hunting over a field and they may be a little bit wary, and it's going to be 40-yard shots, then I'll use an extended choke. But
all right.
Do you ever change mid-hunt? Do you keep your chokes with you and change in and out mid-hunt?
I do keep them, but based on the places where we hunt, I pretty much know how far the shots are going to be. So, and I don't like to sky blast, so I'd rather kill a duck than just shoot a duck and watch it fly away wounded. Yeah. So in those cases, in where we're hunting, the place will determine what size choke I have.
And since we're on the subject, kind of, ducks or geese?
Wow. Yeah, I probably shot more geese than ducks, but ducks is a lot of fun. I wish I could do more. I wish I could kill more ducks.
Well, you got to pick one. Which one's your favorite?
Well, it has to be geese then.
And I think that might be a podcast first, as far as geese being the favorite. Can you think of anybody, Elliott, that's said geese over ducks?
I think someone may have said specs.
You might be right. Was that would have been Bobby Hayes?
Yeah, was it? And what? Yeah, I think there was someone else that may have said geese too.
Yeah, I think from Hardy Facepaint they said geese as well, just
Okay.
because they never get to hunt them. But
Sure.
I find it really interesting that you've shot more geese than ducks, because
Yeah.
that's definitely, I don't think that that's a common thing.
Well, I think geese are easier to shoot because they're slower, and obviously for recognition, if you don't know what a goose looks like, you're in trouble. But with ducks, I mean, like right now, you got to know what a teal looks like, and they fly at 100 mile an hour. So I'm not that good yet to determine is that a teal or is it not a teal, and so there's a lot more varieties of ducks, which is cool. I love it, and I'd like to hunt more, but I guess I haven't had enough experiences with ducks to say, oh yeah, that's my favorite.
I think the thing that pushes me over the edge for ducks is, one, mallard, just like mallard drake, just looks so cool. And then I just enjoy the taste better of ducks.
Well, I would say also, like, right now with these blue-winged teal, they're like little blue jets, and you get the sound effects of them in the air and then darting all over the place. And then as I love the progression of the season. So now, the pintails, we actually saw quite a few pintails last weekend, but the pintails and the gadwalls will move in, and the widgeon and the mallards show up. I love how they change with the seasons. And with geese, it's like, okay, you got Canada's basically, maybe some specs, and then you switch to snow. I feel like that duck hunting is just more of a long-term throughout the season experience, and that's part of it for me.
Yeah.
I'd say one of the big positives for goose, though, is just it's so crazy to see such a big bird, just tumbling out of the sky and making a loud thud, and they, for me at least, it seems like they come in bigger groups a lot of times in our area opposed to ducks. So there is, obviously the pros and cons of both, and we're gonna hunt them both regardless. But
Oh yeah.
it's fun to talk about which one's better than the other,
Yeah.
vice versa. And then kind of onto some more, just silly questions that we always kind of ask: face paint or no face paint, or face mask?
I'm an either or guy. There's a lot of times if I've got my blind brushed in really really good, I don't need face paint or a face mask because they can't see me coming in. So I guess if I'm feeling a little frisky, I'll put some paint on. But I did get my first batch of that Hardy face paint the other day. I haven't tried it yet, and I'm excited about using that.
Nice. Yeah, I've tested it out, and it's just like they say, it doesn't smudge, and it comes right off with a baby wipe. I did have a little bit of it coming off when it rained, but besides that, it works great.
Yeah.
I did not want to mention this on the podcast when we had Hardy on, but I buy during Halloween, you just get that regular black makeup face paint for Halloween. That stuff comes off really easily. And that's what I have traditionally used. I haven't tried the Hardy yet, but I'd like to do a comparison between the two, because you can buy them for like $1 a tube during Halloween. You pick up 10 and you're like, I still haven't used what I had from last year.
And then beard or no beard is another question we always ask.
Oh, beard, by all means.
Beard, yep. I'm the same. I usually, I can't say usually, I've been duck hunting that long, but for the last 2 seasons, at the beginning of the season, I stopped shaving and let it go for the whole season.
Absolutely.
And I think, that's pretty common, I think, among duck hunters.
See, mine works really good for snow geese. So
nice, yeah. You don't have to wear all white on your face.
No face mask. Yeah.
And am I missing any, Elliott? Any of the common
I don't think so. I think that nailed him.
Yeah, one that I would add specifically for you though is with you having a layout product and an A-frame product, which one would you pick between the two, as far as hunting it in, let's just say, a regular cornfield?
A regular cornfield. You're probably going to do better with a layout lounge to get your profile down as low as what you can. We've experimented with ditch lines along cornfields, and we haven't had very good success with that. I mean, the geese, especially, they're going to want to land at least 60, 80 feet from anything if there's a wide open cornfield, and they're not going to. It's not like you can. We've never had success with putting an A-frame blind along the edge of a ditch row in an open cornfield and decoying them in within 20, 30 yards. So you can find that X on the field and there happens to be a low muddy spot or a little bit of water in that cornfield, you got to get as close as you can to it and try and cover up.
See, one thing I would say I've been seeing more and more is even people pushing the A-frames out into the fields and having success with that. And I don't know that I've ever actually hunted that way with the A-frame blind out in a cornfield. But I think that would definitely be something to try out and experiment, because for me, as far as like comfort goes, maybe not even comfort, but just like it's just more enjoyable, I guess, to stand. I mean, some people really like to lay out. I know, Elliott, you really enjoy laying out in your layout boats in the marshes. And some people really enjoy laying out in cornfields and getting the birds right up in their face.
Yeah.
But, too, I don't know. There's just something about standing up and, being able to pop up right when the birds get there. So I know it's just kind of personal opinion and all that kind of stuff. But I do think that's a really cool option with an A-frame in a field.
Yeah, and we're excited about our new camo design that we just came out with this year. It took us, over a year and a half to be able to come up with our own camo pattern to make it look like a cornfield. So we're just going to have to do some experimental hunts and see if we can decoy them into the middle of a field and those things.
Yeah, for sure.
And when you have a dog in those A-frames, does whoever's working the dog just sit on the end and you just have the dog kind of sitting off the side? Is that how people normally would work that?
Yeah, pretty much. Both sides are open. They've got straps that you can close them, and you can leave the last strap open so a dog can go in and out real easy. Or the bottom of the fabric is not tied to the frame, so you can have the dog's head poking right out the underneath side of anywhere in the A-frame, and he can jump right out the bottom. So I know
nice.
that you don't like to have a dog door in our A-frame. They can get in and out real easily by just moving up the cover a little bit.
Yeah, and if you're hunting in a field too, it wouldn't be too hard to, if you have the standard dog blind, just have it sitting right next to you, right outside the door, so you'll be able to, stick your arm out the hole. I guess you guys can't see my arm, but arm out the hole and, retrieve the goose or duck or whatever you're hunting in the field to pull into your blind. So either option probably would work fine with that.
Absolutely.
How many people fit in those A-frame blinds?
We've hunted 4 in there, and that's tight, but you can do it. We made it very comfortable for 3. In fact, the new cover that we made for the top has 3 specific openings so that the hunters can pop out of the opening up top. So very, very comfortably, 3 guys and a dog. If that 4th guy really wants to go with you, you can do it. But you're shoulder to shoulder, and you're fighting for room in there.
Could you put those in like calf deep water?
Oh, absolutely. That's where we have a lot of success. Yep.
What's the deepest you think that would be you could do it in?
Well, we did it in one of the spots where people fight to get to in our area. And it was not quite waist deep. And we went and stuck a blind out there, and we brushed it in with natural cover and left it there for 2 weeks before duck season, and we hunted that opening morning.
Oh, wow.
And we were in almost waist deep water.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was nice because half of the blind was submerged below water.
Yeah, that is very cool. I've never been in an A-frame blind, never used one. But before the season, I was talking with Aiden because we've got this hole. It's dry right now, but it used to have some willows and stuff like that. But we've had so many floods that they all pretty much got sucked out, and there is no cover. And even for layout blind hunting, there's no cover. And he and I were talking. I was like, I mean, because this thing's deep in the woods, this backside of this hole. A lot of people don't even know about it or can get to it. And I was like, what if we had an A-frame blind and you've just stuck it back in the trees and either chained it to a tree or I don't know, something. And then whenever we wanted to have it, that A-frame's there. We drag it out into the water, probably about knee deep. And now we've got cover and we're hunting an area that literally no one is going to be able to hunt because there's no way to get hidden in there. And that was before I even heard about you guys' products. So I'm like, yeah, that would be really cool.
Yeah, and the cool thing with this blind is it is so easy to take down, so you wouldn't need to leave it out in the woods or leave it in the pond unless it's your pond only and you don't want to have to transport and set it up all the time. We have a couple ponds like that where we're the only ones that can hunt it, and so we have a couple blinds that we will leave out there all season long because we know they're not going to get stolen and no one's going to hunt in them, and we don't have to constantly take another 20 minutes for setup time. But, if that's a concern to you, then by all means, in less than 2 minutes, you can have your blind apart and the cover rolled up with the brush that's stubbled in it and throw it in the back of an ATV, or one guy can carry it all by himself if he wants. So it's because we've made it out of aluminum, it's very, very light and very easily transportable. And some of the blinds, when you get them, there's like 200 and some parts that you have to put together, and it might take you an hour or two. If you're like me, it might take you half a day. But then it's put together, and you got to like store it in these big sections. And our blind is not like that. It's 6 pieces. It takes down. There's no nuts and bolts that you have to put together. It all pins together, and the pins are all cabled to it. So, that when you're setting something up in the dark with your headlight, you don't want to drop something in the water.
That's for sure.
So that's one of the benefits of our blind is it's so easy and durable and lightweight that it's fun to hunt out of.
Yeah, that would work perfect. We've got like an 18-foot well-built boat with a surface drive on it. We go about half a mile up a river channel, and then we walk in about 200 yards from there. So there'd be no reason to leave it out there if one guy could carry it.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. So kind of, do you have any more questions about the gear before we switch subjects, Elliott?
No, that was the main thing that I wanted to talk about, was because selfishly how it applied to me.
All right, so kind of jumping subjects now. Let's get into some duck hunting and talk about that. So you got any big plans for duck hunting this year or this season?
Yeah, we're gonna go.
Well, yeah, I figured that much.
Yeah, we're excited to use, like I say, with some new camo designs that we've got finished and we are making product out of. And we want to use them in the field to see how the birds react or don't react to. So we're excited about using those new fabrics. And fabric is a huge thing. Didn't realize how expensive it is, how crazy it is, how we found out there, as far as we know, there are no companies in the United States making fabric. Everything has to be brought in from overseas, and the time involved in getting someone who knows and has contacts and then designing your own camo patterns, it just takes time, and getting it to scale and getting it to the right color and everything. So we're excited about using those patterns out there. I found, I don't know if you guys have found this, but geese flare more than ducks. I mean, if you're out there and you're covered up, geese seem to be more wary, and if something's not right, they're not coming in.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, if you're on the X with ducks, it doesn't matter. I've seen videos of guys standing out in the open and they're just flying in there, and it doesn't matter what camo pattern they have on them or if they have face paint or no face paint or whatever. Ducks want to be there; they're in there. And geese aren't that way. If something's wrong, if your buddy left his orange fluorescent vest out behind the blind, not only is he going to get yelled at and never invited back, but the geese aren't coming in that day. So we're excited about trying out the new camo designs.
Awesome. So you got any big hunts planned, or you gonna you know.
I have a big hunt planned, but it's not for ducks. I'm going elk hunting in a week,
Yeah, that's
so
true. Yeah.
that's going to be exciting.
Going out to Colorado?
You betcha.
Now, do you guys do the whole hunt camp thing?
We are actually self-guided, self-hunt. My son and my nephew that lives in Colorado, and meeting my brother, and we rent horses, and we stay in a cabin that's right on the edge of 40,000 acres of public land, and there's no motorized vehicles that can go back there, so you're either on foot or on horseback. And you'll spend...
Like
It's awesome. Went one time 2 years ago, and it was the most beautiful place I've spent 5 days in. Didn't kill an elk, didn't have a chance to shoot at an elk, but 4 hours on horseback every day in the dark, and watching the woods wake up and seeing aspens for the first time was phenomenal. Phenomenal.
You just feel free, I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, something about being outdoors, whether it's elk hunting or duck hunting, just being outside and watching, creation wake up in the mornings. It's one of the main reasons, regardless of if you're going to shoot an animal, shoot ducks, or harvest an elk, it's just great to be out there.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, I worship so much better out in the wilderness and out in God's great creation than I do in any church auditorium. And that's just me. I go to church regularly. I love church. It's good for me. But I can worship the Creator better when I'm outside.
Yep. You just feel it more. You feel the presence, and more when you're out in nature than a lot of us are just kind of stuck in what you'd call like the concrete jungle. The buzz of vehicles and working in cubicles, and it's just not what we were created for, in my opinion.
Yeah. And then like with the ducks, or birds in general, ducks, turkeys, geese, you look at the specificity of how they're made, and they're gorgeous. It's unbelievable the design and the pattern that these things have, and if you look at them closely, it's amazing. There's no way any one of us could create that.
Yeah, I'm definitely not that creative, so. If you guys got questions, let's start thinking of them and putting them in the chat, and we'll get to them in a couple minutes here.
While we're getting to I want to add one point to the feathers while we're waiting for questions. It's not just the pattern that's so amazing. It's the fact that if you really look at it, it's every little tiny feather has a little piece of color that adds into the overall markup of the duck. So it's almost like a puzzle perfectly put together to make various patterns. It's so amazing.
It is. It really is.
Yeah, for sure. Let's go see what we got as far as questions go. Got anything else you want to add before we jump into the questions, Tim?
No, not unless people want to invite me on a duck hunt so I can learn more about duck hunting.
Kate has a question, I see.
All right, let's go with that.
How often you guys see wood ducks? I'm in Wisconsin. 80% of our early season ducks are woodies, especially when there's good acorn crop. So how often do we see wood ducks, and do you guys see wood ducks?
We see more, I think, early season. Once it gets later, we don't see much, but kind of like late October, and I think then they migrate out of there. They're kind of like the bluewing are there in September, and then they're gone, and we probably won't see any during regular season. And then the wood ducks, I don't think I've shot any after maybe the first week of November.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Elliott?
There are times in which on the opener we can just be loaded with wood ducks, but they get out of here really quickly. I wish that they would allow us to shoot them with teal. I haven't seen any this year, but a lot of times during teal season, I have more shots around my area on wood ducks than we do teal. So I really wish they would combine them here, but I shoot very few considering how many we actually have.
And Matt asked, what What's the discount code going to be? There's not a discount code right now. There will be some promotions that run for HTR Innovations, so keep your eyes open for that kind of stuff. And in case we haven't said yet, you can check them out on htrinnovations.com. Mr. Greenhead asked, what is the deepest you would use your A-frame blind? And Mr. Greenhead, could you be a little bit more specific? Do you mean like deep as far as like in the water, or deep as far as like how far you take it out into the marsh, or something
That's
like
what I
that?
think he's talking about, and I mean, he already went into that in depth. Sounds like you can use it as deep as you're willing to stand.
Yeah, right.
Now, do you need to stake it down in the water? It won't float or anything.
No, not at all.
So it just sets. Okay. You sat yours that deep for 2 weeks and with no worry at all.
Yeah, and we brushed it in with natural brush just to make it look like everything else. And we were, like I say, that half of the blind was completely submerged. And I think our blind is 40 tall. So at that point, it becomes, how high do you want to hold your gun in the air while you're waiting for ducks, you know? So you can put it as deep as what you want, but at some point it becomes unpractical.
Yeah, I'd say like the practical depth would probably be around like knee height or something like that.
Yeah.
Because then you don't have to worry about your blind bag getting in the water, the bottom of your gun actually dipping too far, and you know if it's cold out, you're gonna have issues with cycling.
If you buy a gun stand, then it won't. So.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, it's like, you know, we take our little marsh seat and put the marsh seat down, and so if my butt's sitting on top of the water, I'm good. You know, you have to like be sitting in the water submerged your entire lap. That's going to be you're probably just going to stand up. So
yeah. Once blind outdoors, for HTR, do you prefer marshes, lakes, or ponds to hunt?
Well, we don't really hunt a lot of big lakes yet. So I'm going to have to say marshes and ponds, because we've got a lot of day ponds and we've got a lot of marshes, and they work great at both. You know, it's all about blending in with the cover that's around you. So we have one spot where it is a beautiful decorative pond, and there is really no cover around that pond. It's all number 2 rock, and then there is a white gazebo right up next to the water. Guess what? Stick your A-frame there, and we went and bought a couple of those 4x8 sheets of the polyvinyl lattice work, and tip it right up next to the A-frame blind. So when the geese come in, it blends with that white polyvinyl, and they land within 20 yards of us, and you kill them. So it's all about adapting to the cover that you have next to you, and it really doesn't matter. But for our experience, we haven't hunted a lot of lakes yet. It's mainly day ponds and marshes.
And then number 2, he asked, once blind door asked, silhouettes, full bodies, or socks for your decoy choice?
Full body.
Then Matt asked, what do you use to brush an A-frame in a cut, no stubble bean field?
Go hunt the cornfield instead.
Hunt the cornfield, or find your own natural brush around the area that will match the bean field best as possible. So
we pretty much realized that in a picked bean field with no cover, we've not wasted our time trying to set up an A-frame in that no cover field. If there are ditches or a spot where the farmer, let's say that field flooded a little bit and some of the natural grasses grew up and gave you a little 4-foot strip of grass or something that's in there, and he couldn't actually pick the beans or whatever, we'll try and dump an A-frame in that thing and brush it in and try to get him within shooting range. But you've got to have something out there to blend in with, otherwise I think you're kind of just wasting your time.
Yep, for sure. Hide's the most important part. And then Kate asked, what shotgun do you shoot? You already said it, but go ahead and say it again.
I like the Browning A10.
Browning A10. And then I think this one mostly applies to you, Elliott. Kelly asked, do you let the teal decoy or mostly rely on pass shooting?
You cut out. Did you say that one was mine?
Yep.
We want them decoying. If I don't know if they watched my teal hunt video I released yesterday, but where we were at, if you were going to shoot passing, you were going to be dropping them in tall smartweed. So we want them right down the decoys. We shot, I think, 42 or 43 teal this last weekend, and I can only think of one that was not actively trying to land, and that was a flock that came buzzing through, but we shot everything else just right down the decoys.
And then Benson asked, do you guys have a sandhill crane season? We do not in Indiana. You guys don't in Kansas either, right?
Yeah, we do actually. Yeah,
really?
do.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I've never been on one, but we do.
All right.
We have lots of cranes. I hear them more than I see them, but
yeah, we don't get a ton in here. I've seen some over in Warsaw, but that's about it.
We get a lot up in Lower Michigan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just a half hour from here. A lot of crane.
Does Michigan have a season?
I'm not sure.
All right, guys. Last call on questions. Another one for Elliott. Did Terry the confidence till go on your hunt this past weekend?
It's a kind of a sore subject, and I haven't talked about it, but Golden Boy lost Terry the confidence seal. And I'm pretty upset about it, but we do have a replacement. He didn't go on this trip yet. He'll go this next weekend, and it's Larry the confidence seal. But I don't know, if we have a bad year, it's Aiden's fault.
All righty. I think Aiden was in here, so he'll know that. All right, last call. I think that kind of sums it up on the questions. All right, Tim, really appreciate you coming on tonight and joining us for the podcast. Go ahead and let people know where they can find you guys.
HTRinnovations.com. Check us out. New products coming. We've got several right now, so we'll have some fun this year.
Awesome. And check them out on Facebook and Instagram as well. And anything else you got to add, Elliott, before we sign off here?
Yeah, if you are listening to this on the podcast version, once this actually comes out, make sure and go in there and rate us and leave a comment. And also check us out on Facebook, Fellowship of the Duck Gun. Group's growing. Would love to get you guys in there and interacting with us.
Awesome. All right, guys. Thanks again for joining us.
Oh, hold on. Wait, we're going over to Facebook. We're jumping over to Facebook.
Yeah. Okay. So, anyways, guys. Oh, yeah. You wanted to add that to the end of it, right?
Yeah. So,
okay. Yeah. So, announcement. We decided to have add a second weekly podcast that we're going to be doing for the Duck Gun podcast. We go live on Facebook as well, and have a weekly hunt update is what our podcast is going to be about. So make sure you guys tune in for those. So it's going to be sweet. So
starting about what, 10-15 minutes?
Yep. Right about 8 o'clock. We'll shoot for that. So anyways, guys, thanks again for joining us another episode of the Duck Gun podcast. I'm Jordan, Duck Gun Chronicles, Elliott, Freelance Duck Hunting, Tim from HTR Innovations, and we'll see you guys next time.